Hi guys, I'm on Lake Erie. I've done a overnight pack boat trip. I've just got my new boat. I'm going to give you a review on it, what I think about it, some of the advantages, some of the disadvantages, and really why you need to get one. If you're shopping for a kayak, do not buy a kayak until you think about getting a pack boat. My friends at Swift Canoe make canoes and kayaks, and what they've done is they've used a mold from a kayak and they've created what they call a pack boat, and basically it's just an open top kayak. Super light, 24 pounds. You can pick it up with one hand, lift it up with one hand, and it's just fantastic. I mean, it paddles like a kayak. Use a kayak paddle. I absolutely love it. And yeah, so I'm out here on one of the Great Lakes doing a little camp out, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what I think about it. So personally for me, when I was shopping for kayaks years ago, I love the idea of paddling a kayak. I rented several, I used several friends of mine's kayaks to try out, and I personally do not find it comfortable sitting in a kayak without a high enough back support. This here is a buckle, keeps it from opening up. Open this up. This buckle now goes into here. And this, you pull this. That keeps the seat up. You can also, this is lumbar support, so you can put it as low or high as you want it. I like it up around that way. Padded seat, nice padded lumbar support. These adjust, these buckles here, so you can pull it forward and release it like this. And that's just the way I'm built. My back is not built for having no lumbar support. So as much as I would love to have had a kayak years ago, I just never found one that was comfortable. The sit on top kayaks, the touring ones, I found were very comfortable. They had the high back seats, and they were great, but they are also about 80 pounds. So they were really heavy, and they weren't something that I was ever going to be able to use on a backcountry trip. There's lots of advantages of them. You can't sink them, they're enclosed. You can throw your dry bags on there, so there's lots of storage. You can fish off them. So there's lots of the things from those that appealed to me, but the weight to me was a deal breaker. In a traditional kayak, I couldn't sit in. Obviously, I do a lot of canoeing, so I have a canoe, but when I wanted to cover a lot of distance, and the solo trips are becoming a big deal for me, so I really wanted a solo trip boat, and this is absolutely, in my opinion, the absolute perfect boat you can have if you want to get away by yourself. Besides a short little overnight trip is to really test out my new pack boat, and I gotta tell you, it's everything I hoped it would be. It really is awesome. If you're thinking of buying a kayak, if you're in the market for something, you really gotta look at the pack boats at Swift. It's honestly, it's great. I can't see any reason to really buy a kayak. I think some people, if you're realistic with yourself, if you envision yourself maybe circling Greenland and, you know, doing some National Geographic sort of expeditions, then hey, you know what, you maybe need a sea kayak. But I would suggest that maybe most people buy probably more kayak than they realistically really need. And you know, they're expensive. They cost a lot of money, and truly, if you're not doing some, you know, some big open water expeditions, yeah, I don't know if you really need one. The only I guess the only disadvantage with the pack boat would be the open top, so that if you're in rough water, you could get swamped that way with the waves crashing over the open part of the boat. I've actually got an idea that I've already looked into. I'm going to make a template of the open top of the boat, and I have a company that does tent and awnings, and I'm going to see if I can get a custom cover made for the top of it that maybe attaches with Velcro, and I'm going to see if I can do that. I think that would be perfect, just to, especially in the spring, if I do it on some, you know, early season or late season trips where the water's cold. That would be a little safety measure of having, you know, the peace of mind knowing that the water's not crashing over and swamping my boat. But if you're just a recreational kayaker, I honestly can't see any reason why you wouldn't want a pack boat over a kayak. Paddling it now, it's honestly, it's comfortable. It's just as quick. I mean, it literally is the same hull as the kayaks that Swift sells. And personally, I love the look of it. I love the Techstream pattern. Because Bill Swift would say it's the creme de la creme of canoes and the kayaks. But I personally do like the Techstream look. I do like a red canoe. It certainly stands out in the woods and stands out in pictures. So I think I might miss that part. But to get it red, the interior is the Kevlar, the yellow Kevlar. And I guess aesthetically, I do like the gray Anegra interior in the boats. And again, my priority, and I know it's nitpicking, I wanted the lightest boat I could possibly get. And this literally is the lightest boat that Swift makes as far as the pack boat, the trim level. You can get them cheaper. You can get them, you know, a little heavier, and we're talking realistically, you're only talking a few more pounds heavier. But again, doing some extreme stuff and planning to do more extreme stuff, I really, if I was going to buy something, I wanted to buy the lightest boat I could possibly get. So that is the Carbon Fusion Anegra package with a whole carbon deck, seats, everything. Everything's carbon on that boat, so it's pretty sweet. I guess I should talk about how strong they are. I guess what you give up with carbon is it's a little more fragile, they say, than Kevlar or Expedition Kevlar. And having said that, I've rented Swift boats for years in Algonquin Outfitters, and I'm not exactly proud to say it, but at times I have beat the crap out of their boats, and I know that they are extremely strong. And I've firsthand seen some of the unfortunate events that have happened, and I was amazed at how they held up. So there is Kevlar weaved into the hull of this as well with the Carbon Fusion and the Techstream, I mean. So there is Kevlar woven into the Techstream in the hull, in the bottom of the hull. So this isn't a canoe that I'm going to be lending out, or it's my baby, it's my personal canoe, so I'll be taking good care of it. And I don't anticipate any problems. Another thing is important. I've also got a bent shaft Werner paddle, and it's important to have a kind of an old. What I'm using is an old wooden paddle. To as you get close to shore, you're gonna at times want to smash the rocks and prevent your canoe from getting smashed up. And the Werner carbon paddles are not exactly meant for scraping rocks either, right? So if you're getting a setup like this, you be aware that you're going to need to carry obviously a shorter paddle. And so I got an old beat up wooden one that I'm going to use, and as I get close to shore, I can kind of ease my way on the shore and kind of use the wooden one to guide myself over the rocks. Sitting in a kayak seat makes things so much more comfortable, where I feel like I could paddle all day and not get sore. I mean, I love canoeing. I like kneeling down when I canoe, and my knees eventually get a little sore. I find myself shifting around after a long day, so with kayaking or sitting in a kayak seat in a pack boat, I never have that problem. So I mean, after a while your butt gets a little sore, you gotta get out and stretch maybe, but besides that, it's pretty good. So I'm really excited about this boat. And I hope you guys have liked this video, and give you an idea of, if you're choosing gear and you're considering what to do with trips and that sort of stuff, purchasing a canoe is a big thing. I mean, I rented them for years, there was no real reason to buy one for me. I mean, I've had old beat up used canoes, but when it was time to rent or go on a trip where I needed a light canoe, they're so expensive that quite frankly, I mean, I rented, and most people do. There's no shame in renting a canoe. Algonquin Outfitters, they rent canoes that would cost you $3,000-$4,000, and you can rent them for a couple $100, maybe $300 for a week trip, right? So if you only go once a year, you got the hassle of owning it and the stress of taking care of it and hoping it doesn't crack and that sort of stuff, right? So, you know, just some information for you. Hopefully it helps if you're considering buying a boat. Thanks for watching. Okay, there was a few things on this video that I missed while I was out on my trip. Now that the nice weather's here, it's almost impossible to find some quiet time in my yard without my neighbors working on their grass or kids playing in the street or trying to find quiet time in my garage. So I'm just going to wrap this up. The only thing I think I missed was covering off the carrying system for this boat. There's a detachable yoke that Swift sells, carbon or wood, and it goes on fairly quickly, and you can take it off obviously when you're paddling, put it on when you want to do a portage. I have a different idea. I have something planned with my two-piece Werner paddle, and it fits in my backpack nicely, so I'm going to show you that, but I didn't have time on this video, so what I'm going to do is when I go on my solo trip with this boat, I will get into that in more detail and show you some options instead of using a yoke for it. It's just one more thing to carry, and I think there's a better way of doing it. So anyways, hopefully I just wanted to cover that off and a few other parts of the boat, whether it be the seat and the foot pegs that I didn't cover on the trip when I was out on the beach earlier. All right.